we're going to be looking at laminar and turbulent flow. In addition, we're also going to be talking about the Reynolds number and how that plays into effect in pipe fluid dynamics. All this plus using a 3D print and determining its Reynolds number. All coming up on Nick's Nuggets.
Laminar flow is when a fluid is able to be in a steady stream and is able to make all of its flow paths in a parallel sequence, are moving in a constant streamline, staying straight. And this produces a very glass-like effect that you are able to actually see behind. Let's take a look at an example real quick. For an example of laminar flow, we don't need to look harder than going to the kitchen. Here we've got a basic setup where we've got all the tools necessary. When I turn this on, typically I will turn it on so that we have a high velocity. This right here is actually a turbulent flow, as I can't see anything behind it. When I turn it lower though, what we're actually going to see is that the velocity slows down and all the molecules of the water align in such a way that we are able to see through it, and it gives it a real glass-like effect. Another effect that laminar flow has is that it's typically quieter. As it goes through the valve, you will usually hear a slight hum, but when turbulent flow and the valve is opened even more, you will see that there is like a straight hissing sound coming from the valve. As it comes out of the valve, we see that the water actually touches the edges of the pipe and mixes together as it flows through. It can't keep a steady stream of molecules anymore at this point. This is typically because we have a high velocity. Now, when you turn on your water, you typically don't want laminar flow. You would like something to be able to wash your dishes. Now that we've seen an example of turbulent and laminar flow, what we want to do is quantify them, and we use the Reynolds number. The Reynolds number less than 2300 is typically considered a laminar flow, while above 4000, the Reynolds number tells us that the flow is turbulent. Between those two numbers is typically a transition state. How do we get the Reynolds number of a pipe, you might ask? Well, we take the fluid's density, multiply that by the fluid's velocity, and by the pipe's diameter. We divide all that by its viscosity, and there we have it, the Reynolds number. Now that we understand how everything flows together, let's go ahead and conduct an experiment. Let's calculate the Reynolds number of a 3D printed nozzle. Now this nozzle was brought to us by Steam Lads, and it's specifically designed to be used for laminar flow production. So let's see if it's any good. We went ahead and completed the test, but in completing the test, what we found is that the laminar flow didn't actually look the best at the low velocities. So this made me question our calculation. So what is the best time to make sure that we're achieving laminar flow? And I found that the Reynolds number at 2300 can be put in, and all we have to do is solve for the time it takes to fill up the 1.8 liter pitcher. So after figuring that out, it was 105 seconds. So I shot to have something over 2 minutes of filling up the 1.8 liters. After throwing this together, we had a velocity that reached that, and we had a Reynolds number of 1275, which is well within the range of laminar flow. But as we see on the other side, we kind of felt like it looked better when the laminar flow was at 11,333. Now, whether that's the density of the water or it's the viscosity of the high particles left in San Angelo's water, I'm not exactly sure. But we can say that the nozzle did have some interesting flow capacities to it. Well, that's all for Nick's Nuggets this week.